John Cena's loss at SummerSlam 2025 to Cody Rhodes was a result of long-term storytelling meeting the practical realities of WWE's future, both in terms of character arcs and business direction. Cena, whose return to WWE earlier in 2024 was heavily celebrated, came back not just to elevate his own legacy, but to ensure he passed the torch in a way that mattered. At WrestleMania 41, he shocked the world by defeating Cody Rhodes and becoming the undisputed WWE champion. It was a decision met with divided fan reactions, some praising the nostalgia and intensity Cena brought back, while others felt it derailed Cody's momentum. That victory, however, was not the end of Cena's story. It was just the middle chapter of a grander arc that culminated at SummerSlam 2025. WWE understood that if Cena left with the title or stayed champion too long, it would stifle the full-time talent that needed to shine in the coming years. Cody Rhodes had been established as a long-term investment, someone whose narrative with Roman Reigns, the Bloodline, and eventually Cena had to end in triumph. Cena himself acknowledged in pre-SummerSlam interviews that 2025 would be his final year, and as part of that farewell, he wanted to give back to the company that made him a household name. The street fight stipulation between Cena and Cody wasn't just for spectacle. It allowed both men to operate without restrictions, telling a story of endurance, desperation, and redemption. Cena's loss wasn't just about a pinfall, it was about transitioning from the old to the new, about handing the spotlight over to someone who could carry the company forward on a regular basis. Cody had been on a mission to finish the story for over 2 years, and although the WrestleMania 41 setback was painful, it set the stage for a far more impactful comeback. Cena played the perfect antagonist in this case, a hardened veteran who believed he had one last run in him and used heel tactics to keep the title for months. By SummerSlam, the audience had fully turned on him, which was precisely what WWE creative wanted. When Cody finally pinned Cena after a grueling 37-minute war, it felt like justice and narrative balance were restored. Meanwhile, Brock Lesnar's return added another layer of shock and unpredictability. After being absent from WWE for over a year due to off-screen controversies linked to the Vince McMahon lawsuit, Lesnar's name had been largely scrubbed from WWE programming. Yet behind the scenes, the company always kept the door open. Triple H, who had taken over creative reins more fully since 2022, understood Lesnar's market value. Though not a fan favorite in every corner, Lesnar's aura remained unmatched. His comeback wasn't leaked, wasn't hinted at. It was a pure surprise that electrified the arena. The decision to have Lesnar return and attack Cena was deeply rooted in both storyline logic and backstage negotiation. Cena had reportedly requested certain moments for his farewell year, and one of them was to have one last encounter with Lesnar. It wasn't about rekindling a full rivalry, but adding one final twist to Cena's saga. The F5 that Lesnar delivered after Cody's win served multiple functions. It created intrigue around Cena's future, teased possible redemption or revenge angles, and reintroduced Lesnar as a dominant force. There was also a meta-narrative at play. Cena, once the superhero who never gave up, had become something more complex in his final run, an aging icon grappling with time, ambition, and legacy. He no longer represented the face of virtue. Instead, he portrayed a nuanced character whose actions were driven by insecurity as much as belief. This shift allowed WWE to explore deeper themes and give the fans a layered feud. Cody, in contrast, stood for honor, resilience, and continuity. His victory symbolized the next chapter for WWE, one where full-time stars are allowed to flourish without being overshadowed by part-time legends. The symbolism of Cena losing clean and being attacked afterward underscored how the old guard was stepping aside for a new reality. Lesnar's return was jarring but fitting. It reminded everyone that unpredictability still exists in WWE, that anyone can show up at any moment and disrupt the narrative. From a business standpoint, Cena's loss and Lesnar's return were also strategic. WWE needed to generate buzz at SummerSlam 2025, especially since it was a 2-night event that lacked the massive Bloodline centerpiece that had defined past years. Cena versus Cody was the primary hook, but a post-match return from someone like Lesnar ensured the show left a lasting impression. Fans hadn't seen Lesnar in over 12 months, and his sudden reappearance brought back the chaos he's known for. His presence sent a message that WWE's landscape was shifting again, possibly toward a new feud, or simply to shake things up in the short term. The real impact lies not just in what Lesnar did, but in what he represents. An unpredictable force that can tilt the balance of power at any time. That theme of unpredictability mirrors the message WWE is trying to send with Cena's loss. The days of stability under icons are over. Now the company thrives on evolution and risk-taking. Internally, sources indicated that Cena was adamant about putting Cody over clean. Unlike some legends who return and protect their status, Cena understood the business and wanted to ensure that Cody's moment was genuine. He refused any interference finishes or shared spotlight scenarios. The street fight allowed for both men to go all out, using weapons, tables, and even steel steps in an intense showdown that pushed both competitors to their limits. The commentary emphasized Cena's desperation, using his heel psychology to make Cody's victory even more impactful. There were moments where fans thought Cena might cheat to retain, but ultimately Cody overcame the odds, fulfilling not only his story, but Cena's as well. Lesnar arriving just moments after made the night unforgettable. There's also historical symmetry in how Cena and Lesnar continue to cross paths at major turning points in WWE. Their feud dates dates back nearly 2 decades, with iconic clashes like SummerSlam 2014 and Royal Rumble 2015. This latest chapter didn't involve a match, but rather a symbolic passing. Lesnar didn't come for Cody, he came for Cena, the man who once stood across from him in WWE's most brutal battles. This return wasn't about gold or titles, it was about legacy and pride. For longtime fans, the moment was surreal, the top star of the ruthless aggression era being laid out by the Beast incarnate once again. It signified not just the end of Cena's championship reign, but a closure of an entire era. Lesnar's return also opens new doors for WWE creatively. While it's unlikely he'll feud with Cena given Cena's retirement schedule, his presence could lead to short-term chaos and long-term feuds with rising stars. The pop he received confirmed he still draws massive reactions, and his physicality remains elite. Whether he targets Cody, Seth Rollins, or even shocks everyone by aligning with someone new, Lesnar's involvement guarantees attention. WWE had been missing that volatile X factor since Roman Reigns went part-time post-WrestleMania 41. With Lesnar back, the storytelling options multiply, and fans can once again be excited for twists that feel untelegraphed. From a production perspective, SummerSlam 2025 was designed to have a cinematic arc, with Cena's loss and Lesnar's surprise appearance forming its climax. WWE knows that moments matter more than matches now, and delivering emotional beats is key to fan engagement. Cena lying motionless after the F5 was a visual metaphor, the end of an era, the vulnerability of heroes, and the reality that time waits for no one. Cody lifting the title amid the chaos encapsulated the core message. Resilience wins in the end. Cena's last stand ended not with glory, but with humility, and that humility is what will make his retirement tour more meaningful. Another layer to consider is how the return of Lesnar helps shift focus away from part-time nostalgia acts dominating the top titles. By using Lesnar as an attraction rather than a title contender, WWE can now blend the past with the present without sacrificing the integrity of their title scene. Cena losing was about credibility. If Cody had failed again, his narrative would have become a meme rather than an epic. Lesnar's presence, meanwhile, injects energy into a roster that has struggled to define clear threats since Roman Reigns' absence. WWE thrives on strong archetypes, and Lesnar's monster status gives the company a reliable villain or anti-hero to plug into multiple storylines. Cena's willingness to take the fall, knowing it would be followed by a Lesnar ambush, shows a deep understanding of storytelling pacing. The fans left the stadium stunned, not by the outcome of the match, but by what came after. WWE needs those kinds of moments to differentiate itself from other promotions. Cena's loss was crafted to feel monumental, and Lesnar's return was designed to re-establish unpredictability at a time when fans had started to complain about creative stagnation. With these two beats, WWE reset the table for the remainder of the year, creating buzz, headlines, and speculation. The authenticity of Cena's loss also helped Cody. It removed any question marks around his reign and cemented him as the face of WWE. Beating Cena in a brutal, clean finish means Cody doesn't need to prove anything else. Cena, who had once denied Cody his dream, became the ultimate hurdle. That character arc paid off fully at SummerSlam. Meanwhile, Lesnar can now be used in a variety of ways. He might feud with Cody as the man who stole Cena's spotlight, or he may go his own path, targeting whoever emerges next as WWE's new project. Either way, his return sets a new tone. The magnitude of what transpired at SummerSlam 2025 cannot be overstated. WWE constructed a finale that not only honored its legacy, but also acted as a springboard into a more dynamic and forward-thinking direction. Cena's defeat was not booked as a fluke or as a controversial ending, but rather a defining moment where time caught up with a legend who had dominated eras. His calculated descent from invincible champion to a vulnerable, battle-worn veteran reflected the underlying realism WWE was infusing into its storytelling. Cena's in-ring strategy during the match showed how aware he was of his own limitations, resorting to weapons earlier, taking shortcuts, and stalling the match's pace. Tactics historically beneath him, that shift gave the encounter added psychological depth, contrasting beautifully with Cody's resilience, speed, and desire to wrestle with integrity. Every decision during the match and its aftermath was done with surgical precision. Cena's body language, especially after each failed attempt to retain his championship, subtly conveyed frustration, not only with Cody but with his own declining prowess. Cody, on the other hand, exuded hunger. From his ring gear paying homage to his late father, to the way he rallied despite suffering intense punishment throughout the bout, everything about his presentation screamed redemption. The commentary team reinforced this narrative expertly, drawing parallels between Cena's rise 2 decades ago and Cody's current struggle for legitimacy. That storytelling layer gave the ending a satisfying emotional payoff rather than just a match result. Brock Lesnar's timing was perfect. By waiting until the match had fully resolved, he avoided interfering in the contest's integrity, ensuring Cody's win wasn't tainted. Then, his brutal ambush on Cena felt surgical. No wasted movement, no unnecessary showboating, just one violent F5 that changed the tone instantly. This return wasn't theatrical or full of pomp. It was a quiet storm erupting without warning. That restraint gave Lesnar more menace than if he had walked out post-victory celebration or engaged Cody in a stare down. His intentions weren't focused on championship gold at that moment. They were aimed at settling something personal with Cena. It recontextualized their rivalry as unfinished business, unspoken and buried beneath years of shared dominance. This narrative sequence was months in the making. WWE needed to move from its past to its future, and it used SummerSlam to do so elegantly.